It's 3:22, and I've still been doing cleaning, spring cleaning, spring cleaning, and I come up here on the computer to check out what's going on in the world, and I saw this article. It was just uploaded right here. This was just uploaded. Let me shrink me. 2 hours ago, right here. The New York Times. Let me shrink myself a little bit more. Let me do it a little more. Let me put myself over here, you all. Talking about a military draft. Let me do it a little bit more. So, they're not meeting their quota. And the military recruiters are now going inside. This is a Walmart store in Colorado. And at the end of the article, they're asking, do you think the U.S. military will or will not reinstitute the draft at any point in your lifetime? Definitely will, probably will not, definitely will not, or other, no opinion. So why would they do an article like that? Why would they post that article? Let me come over here, you all. And this is serious to see this on here. And I don't know much about the New York Times. I don't. I went over to, I'm going to show you. We're going to go right here. And I'm going to put the link right here for you to see. So you can reference it yourself. We're going to cover our tracks and put this in here. There we go. We got it. Let me put this back to me, you all. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to read that article, and we're just going to leave it at that. Read the article. And it's right here. So, 2 hours ago by Dave Phillips. Did I write the New York Times? Let me put this back to me. I don't know what this says. Okay, yeah, I did it. The New Yorks. No, it's not the New Yorks. Oh my goodness, you all. Let me fix this silly. Gina, honey, you did it all wrong. I did it wrong, you all. I did. I got to try to fix that thumbnail about the New York Times. I'm pretty sure I spelt it right. I really am. Let me try to fix it with this. See if I can cover that with a text. The New York Times, not the New Yorks. The New York Times. Let's see, where can I put this at? Let's see if I can put it right there. No, you all, I don't think it's happening. Boom. Gina, honey, just forget it. You all, I'm going to forget it. I'm not going to mess with it right now because I'll go back and I'll fix it later. I'll fix it later. It's all right. That's okay. We got it. We have got it. Susan Donahue, I don't like war one bit. I don't like it. Lives get destroyed. They do. And we're pitted against people that we don't even know. See, that's the thing. Yeah, and it's a very touchy It's a very touchy subject. Even though my husband was in the military, I don't like war. I don't. I know at times war is inevitable. You're faced with it and you got a decision to make. But let's look at this, you all. We're going to look over here. With a few able and fewer willing U.S. military, the U.S. military cannot find recruits, is what this article says. And we're going to look at it. And it's okay. It's all right, you all. We can read it. Let me try to get this. I got to fix the brightness on my phone so I can come over here and monitor these. Yeah. So Fountain, Colorado. That's near That's around, I guess, NORAD. Fountain, Colorado. Let's pull that up first. Let's find the Google Maps. We might as well throw in Google Maps, you all. And try to be respectful in your comments because we probably do not have a moderator on here. We probably don't. Stop that right there. Fountain, Colorado. Is your all's screen updating? Or is it not just, or is it just mine that's not updating, you all? Okay, we're here. Okay, Fountain, Colorado. Let's go to this screen right here, split screen. Let's see where it's at, because this is where it's located. Fountain, Colorado, right here. Right there. We went to the Walmart there in Fountain, Colorado. I don't know where it would be at. I'm sure it's a very large facility, but this is, oh, that's Fountain something, you all. I don't know. But that's where it's supposed to be. It's Fountain, Colorado, I guess, you all. We can, boom, Fountain Creek, Park, all of that. Let's come back here. Gina, honey, you got to get your act together, you all. And I do apologize for my spelling on there, but I was pretty sure I spelt it right. Fountain, Colorado. The local Army recruiting station was empty. The normally reliable recruiting grounds at the nearby Walmart, oh, I didn't know that, were a bust. Did you all know that they recruited at the Walmart? Yeah. Al, we're trying to let me just say this. We're trying to allow more moderate comments in here, as long as you're not outright rude and disrespectful. We want you to be able to say what you want to say without being rude, disrespectful, or, you know, going against the community guidelines. Okay, we're trying to be more lenient. We really are. Thank you, Al. So, the normally reliable recruiting grounds at the nearby Walmart were a bust, with the Army still thousands of soldiers short of its recruiting goal. The station commander, Sergeant First Class James Pulliam, dressed head to toe in camouflage, scanned a strip mall parking lot for targets. Well, I don't like how that's written, for targets. It sounds kind of targeted. Yeah. Army recruiters were speaking to shoppers at a Walmart in Colorado Springs. Military recruiters visit shopping centers to look for young people who might consider enlisting. So Colorado Springs, we can type in Colorado Springs so we can see it where it's at. Right there. And it's kind of near, it's where all the FAA webcams are. Colorado Springs right here, Colorado. Okay, Gino, honey, will you please get on with that? Yes, I will, you will. He spotted a young woman getting out of a car and put on his best salesman smile. "Hey, how'd you know I was going to be here today?" the sergeant said with an affable Carolina drawl, as if greeting an old friend. I'm going to help put you in the Army." That's what they said. I'm going to help put you in the Army. These are tough times for military recruiting. Almost across the board, the armed forces are experiencing large shortfalls in enlistments this year, a deficit of thousands of entry-level troops that is on pace to be the worst than any since just after the Vietnam War. It threatens to throw a wrench into the military's machinery, leaving critical jobs unfilled and some platoons with too few people to function. Oh, they're at a something. Let's see. Juniper Christian left and Melody Orman were working at a Jersey Mike's sandwich shop when recruiters spoke to them about opportunities in the Army. COVID-19 is part of the problem. Lockdowns during the pandemic have limited recruiters' ability to forge bonds face to face with prospects, and the military's mandate has kept some would-be troops away. Sean Lutman, 19, whose parents are veterans, said he decided to join the Army to get a head start on life. He stretched on the pull-up bar at the Armed Forces Career Center in Fountain, Colorado, before starting Army basic training in early July. And this is really hard. You know, basic training is not something that's easy. It isn't. I've been seeing a few videos on the YouTube when they show basic training. You get screamed at, yelled at. And if you're timid and you're not used to that, well, you're going to get a real world wake-up call right away, you all. Yes. And my husband was in the military. We were in the military. It was the best life we had. It really was. So we were taken really good care of. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to say anything different. I enjoyed it. I loved the experience of meeting people from all walks of life. I liked moving around. It was very enriching for me and my family, my children too. But it's a hard life. It is a hard life. But they got a community. They stay together. Even though your spouses get shipped away, at times they do form a bond with one another. You have a family. The current white-hot labor market, with many more jobs available than people to fill them, is also a factor, as rising civilian wages and benefits make military service less enticing. But longer-term demographic trends are also taking a toll. Less than a quarter of young American adults are physically fit to enlist and have no disqualifying criminal record, a proportion that has shrunk steadily in the recent years. And shifting attitudes toward military service means that now only 1 in about 10 young people say they would even consider it. To try to counter those forces, the military has pushed enlistment bonuses as high as $50,000 and is offering quick ship cash of up to $10,000 for certain recruits who can leave for basic training in 30 days. To broaden the recruiting pool, the service branches have loosened their restrictions on neck tattoos and other standards. In June, the Army even briefly dropped its requirement for a high school diploma before deciding that it was a bad move and rescinded the change. If you're just tuning in, I logged onto the computer and I went over to a different search engine, and then boom, it was one of the headlines from the New York Times just a little over 2 hours ago. Would the military do a military draft if they had to? And they have a poll. They do. They have a poll on here. Hello there, Susan B. Honey. Yeah, they have a poll. So that's fine, you all. It is. The Army is the largest of the armed forces, and the recruiting shortfall is hitting the hardest. As of late June, it had recruited only about 40% of the roughly 57,000 new soldiers it wants to put in boots by September the 30th, the end of the fiscal year. So Sergeant Pulliam, 41, a helicopter mechanic who turned to recruiting 5 years ago, was hunting for anyone who might want to join, even if they did not know it yet. So when Kaylee Alvarado Wright turned out to be ineligible to enlist, Sergeant First Class James Pulliam tried code calling a friend of hers. Like many soldiers who make recruiting their career, he believed in what he was selling because he knew the Army service had done for him. He knew what they'd done. Before he enlisted in 2012, he was a 31-year-old warehouse worker in North Carolina, working extra shifts to support his 3 children. A year later, he was working on AH-64 Apaches with his housing and education paid for by the Army. It changed my entire life, he said, and that's the gift I have to give to other people. You just have to find the people that need it. He chuckled and added, that ain't always easy. I will say this, when I married my husband, He had already been in for 4 years. He was in personnel up at Grissom Air Force Base, and I was in government. I was in government housing projects. I grew up in the projects, low income housing. But when I saw him, we dated off and on for around 2 years, and then I was dating someone else at the time. I remember he came to church, and the moment I saw him, I knew within my heart, okay, this is it, Gina. He's the one you're supposed to marry. Oh, I knew it. And I liked the guy that I was with at the time. And I told him that night after church, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to break up with you because I'm supposed to marry Jonathan. That's my husband. And I liked him. I really did. I liked that boy. But I knew in my heart I was supposed to get married. Within a month and a half, well, I got married. It only took like that weekend. We went out. He got an engagement ring. I showed my mother. She said, "You found it in a you found that in a bubblegum machine." I said, "No, Mom, I'm serious." So she put my wedding together all in a month and a half, and then we got married and made our way to the Presidio of Monterey, where he did his language. He cross-trained into a German linguist. But throughout his career, they paid for his military. The military paid for all his education. He first got an associate's degree while doing his full-time job. Then he got his bachelor's degree while doing his full-time job and raising his family. And then he got his master's degree while doing his full-time job and raising his family. He studied at nights till like 1 or 2 in the morning. But he made time for us, even though his workday was taken up by his regular military job and at night studying. So it is a good life, okay, it is. And I basically at times I raised the children by myself, but you learn to be strong. You really do. You all. That's my story. It is of the military. And afterward, after those years, got good insurance, TRICARE, for his military service. So it's good. It is if you can tough it out. But that was in a different time period. He got in during the 1980s when there was no jobs. No jobs. It was a recession. 1983, straight out of high school. He could not even find a job as a dishwasher. So yeah, our life changed for the better. It really did. It was a very culturally enriching, but it was a different period in time. Totally different period, you all. Let's get back over here. That was my story. I'm supposed to be reading this article. Sorry, you all. So, like many soldiers, okay, it changed this guy's life also. Changed his life. The young woman in the strip mall parking lot was on her way to get a pizza. She was on her way to get a pizza. You can see her standing right there. She was going to get a pizza. Okay, I'll just read the rest of it. The young woman in the strip mall parking lot, she looked confused when the tall man in green began pitching her on the benefits of serving her country. She eventually apologized politely and said she could not join up, gesturing to an insulin pump and clipped to her shorts. The sergeant made a mental note, diabetic is not fit to serve, but he didn't give up. So he says, okay, just give me a name, one number I can call right now. And he pressed, and you got to know somebody who might want to join. One number and I'll leave you alone. Seconds later, he was on the phone with one of the woman's friends. She says, "You want to join the Army?" The sergeant said, as if he has some announcing winning Powerball numbers. "Where you work, I can meet you when you get done." The sergeant paused, turned and said, "The dude just hung up on me." He got hung up on you all right there. You co-calling somebody. Moments later, the friend was calling the woman's cell phone. Sergeant Pulliam smiled and leaned toward her conspiracially. "Would it be weird if I answered?" he said. "It'd be like I was a Jedi recruiter. Let me take this one." The woman giggled as the sergeant held her phone up and announced that he was ready to give the friend a second chance, and then he got hung up again. The other branches are not having any easier of a time. The Navy and the Marine Corps do not release the recruiting figures before the end of the fiscal year. A spokesman said, but both have acknowledged that it will be hard for them to meet their quotas this year. Even the Air Force, which has rarely had trouble attracting talent in the past, is about 4,000 recruits short of the level it typically reaches by midsummer. Bottom line, they say, we are in a week-to-week dogfight. Major General Edward Thomas Jr., commander of the Air Force Recruiting Services. We are growing hopeful that we may be able to barely make this year's mission, but it's uncertain. The General Thomas said, the short-term problem has kept recruiters away from county fairs, street festivals, and their most productive hunting grounds, high schools. The relationship that the recruiters were not able to cultivate face-to-face during the pandemic's early stages, he said, meant that there is now a drought of graduates signing up on the dotted line. A modest recruiting bump from snappy ads. The service ran before the screenings of the Top Gun Maverick helped a bit, but the general pointed to a larger, longer-term concerns about the shrinking pool of young Americans who are both able and willing to serve. In recent years, the Pentagon has found out about 76% of adults aged 17 to 24 are either too obese to qualify or have other medical issues or criminal histories that would make them ineligible to serve without a waiver. 76% from ages 17 to 24 are either too obese to qualify or have other medical issues or criminal histories. That is the main people they recruit. That is the primary age group right there. You know what comes after that, don't you? They go to people after that. If there were a national emergency, you all, in times of national emergency, whether it's a cataclysmic event or anything like that, they will go above those numbers. They will. And they will get the people who had just got out after their term was up. They will also go to the retired people. They'll take women. They're already talking about women. They've been talking about getting the women in the military draft for a long time. That is also one of the things they're talking about. Oh, it's not a joke, but I am kind of surprised that 76%. That's, wow. Sergeant Pulliam leads exercise sessions in a local park for prospective recruits. The share of young adults who are fit enough to enlist in the armed forces has been shrinking steadily. And what the military calls propensity, the share of young adults who would consider serving has fallen steadily for several years. It stood at 13% before all of it began, and General Thomas said now it's at 9%. His recruiting center in Fountain held a meeting with recruiters before they went out into the community searching for prospects. Well, that's not easy. I'm telling you what. My brother, when he was in the Navy, he was on the Enterprise, and then there was a period of time where he transferred career fields to be a recruiter, and you had to meet your quotas. And then he went back to the Enterprise after several years. I don't know how many years, maybe 6, 7 years. Yeah, you got to meet your quota when you recruit. And if there ain't people, that's hard. It really is hard to do it. There are just lower levels of trust with the government and the military. Of course, maintaining one of the world's largest militaries entirely with volunteers has never been easy. And this is not the first time in the 49 years since the United States ended the draft that recruitment has fallen short. Colin Albert, 27, Ginny Lara, 24, answered the last-minute questions from Sergeant Pulliam before shipping out for processing as new recruits. When civilian jobs are plentiful, as they are now, the military tries to compete using two tactics: sweetening the deal with signing bonuses, better pay, and other enticements, and lowering the standards a bit to enlist people who might otherwise not qualify. The military has adapted by downsizing, and the number of active duty service members is now about half of what it was in the 1980s. it's projected to keep decreasing. That makes for smaller, easier meet quotas, recruiters say, but it also diminishes the military's most reliable advertising pool, its people. Research has shown that young adults who know someone who has served, a parent, a coach, or a teacher, are more likely to enlist than those who do not. The pattern has made the forces something of a family business and led some communities, many of them in the Southeast, supplying a disproportionate share of the recruits. But even in those kind of communities, recruiting has been tough this year. The city of Fountain, a few miles from Fort Carson, is a patchwork of working-class neighborhoods with strong military ties, but the recruiting station here has not met its goals for 3 months. On a recent evening, Sergeant Pullman met with 6 prospective recruits at a park for a weekly workout for push-ups and sit-ups. In the group were the 3 recent high school graduates who had been planning for years to join a young woman trying to get away from home life that she did not want to talk about, a 26-year-old man named Francisco Borja, whose father had been in the Army. So you can see them right there. And it's not easy to just get out there and just push your body up in a man's push-up. It's not. Mr. Borja tried to join up before he was rejected because of poor eyesight. He was hoping the Army would take him this time around. Training for recruits in the future soldier program includes exercises and warm-ups. So this is the thing. I want to do it for my family and my kids, he said, to better our lives. Do you think, they got the news poll right here, you all, we finally got to it. Do you think the U.S. military will or will not reinstitute the draft at any point in your lifetime? I'm going to say that. I don't want you to use my cookies. So I'm not going to let them track me. I'm not, you all. I'm not. I do think that it will happen in my lifetime. And you know, they could even, you know how they have the drone armies and stuff, they could even use armies like that, saying, well, we don't got enough humans, we need robots. They could do that. They really could. So who knows what's going to happen, but that was an article from the New York Times. That was, let's see how long ago it was now, you all. Let's come up here to the top. Let's put it right here. Let's see where it is. Dave Phelps, 2 hours ago. Let's refresh that. 3 hours ago, you all. 3 hours ago. You can see that, look how the people felt about this. You see the thumbs up, 276 thumbs up. 123 love it. 159 are, I don't know about this. 46 are saying, oh my gosh. 246 are sad, and 331 are kind of upset about it, you all. They don't like it. They don't like that article. They don't like it. Yeah. So that's what it was about. All of that, you all. So you may not agree with that article. And that's the article that I read. I don't like war. I don't. Because lives get destroyed. They do. However, my husband was in the military. Our family, our children grew up in the military way of life. It was a good life for us. It was. I'm not going to tell you otherwise when it was. We had hard times and we had a lot of good times. We got to go a lot of places and got to meet a lot of different people from different points, different, I don't know, different things in life, you know. So, yeah. And if you weren't ever in the military, if you never knew of anybody in the military, you wouldn't be able to relate to it. You wouldn't. It's sad that they're not meeting their goals, because I don't want a military draft. I do not want it at all. Yeah, that's right. So I am going to go. I am, you all. But that's an article. And, you can write how you feel on it. You can. You can put your comments in here, and I'm sure they might somehow use this for something. I don't know. They probably go back and look. It's good to know how other people feel, you all, because you're not alone. No matter what you feel about it, you're not the only person who feels that way. There's different opinions and all that kind of stuff, you all. There is. Yeah. So I'm going to go. And with that being said, and cover up the thing. I got to fix this on here, you all. The New York's Times. I may just leave it like that, but I'm going to have to fix it. So, thank you, moderators. Thank you, Al, for volunteering when we didn't have a moderator on here. And, yeah, you all, thank you for your comments. Thank you, Susan, honey. So, with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, you all. Thank you.